Vaccination and neurodevelopmental outcomes? Facts or fallacy? Hello, I am Dr. K. Paul Stoller, and this video is about cutting through all the fudged medical research that has pumped out propaganda to try and show vaccines have no connection to autism. Vaccines save lives, safe and effective. The two most common PSYOP mantras in support of an archaic medical intervention that should have gone the way of the bloodletters. A new study based on Medicaid data from Florida aimed to find out if there were unintended effects on brain development. Researchers Anthony Mawson and Binu Jacob analyzed health claims of 47,155 children enrolled continuously in Florida Medicaid from birth to age 9. About 89% had at least one recorded vaccination visit. 11% had none. The study compared diagnoses of neurodevelopmental disorders, or NDDs, in vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids. Among vaccinated children, 27.8% had at least one NDD diagnosis compared to 11% of unvaccinated children. That's an odds ratio of about 3.1. For vaccinated kids, the odds of having an NDD were 3 times higher than for unvaccinated kids. Preterm children who were vaccinated had dramatically higher odds of NDDs. Almost 40% of vaccinated preterm kids had a diagnosis, versus just 15.7% of unvaccinated preterm kids, yielding an odds ratio of 3.6. The more vaccination visits a child had before age 5, the greater their later risk for autism spectrum disorder. One visit meant 1.7 times higher risk versus unvaccinated. With 11 or more visits, the risk jumped to 4.4 times. Strengths of this study from Florida: large data set, over 47,000 children, control for age and gender, and clear record-based exposure classification. These findings don't prove vaccines cause neurodevelopmental disorders. They show associations. And while the authors call for more rigorous research to explore if any causal mechanisms exist, especially for preterm infants, no one is funding this research because funding sources already know the answer. They just don't want the public to know. There are many studies out in the medical literature utilizing truncated data, fudged or omitted data, to prove there is no link between vaccines and autism. Don't think for one moment that a multi-billion-dollar industry is not going to do every possible underhanded thing they can get away with to push the propaganda about vaccines not causing autism.